It's just before the top of the hour. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard posted a bleak video on social media warning of a nuclear holocaust. The 3-minute video includes imagery of atomic blasts and simulations of American cities and landmarks like the Golden Gate Bridge being destroyed. Gabbard blames the political elite for pushing the world's superpowers into a global war.
This isn't some made-up science fiction story. This is the reality of what's at stake, what we are facing now. Because as we stand here today, closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before, political elite and warmongers are carelessly fomenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers. Perhaps it's because they are confident that they will have access to nuclear shelters for themselves and for their families that regular people won't have access to.
Jonathan Lemire, what's the backstory here?
So she went to Hiroshima recently, and that's what she says is why she's posting this. But in most ways, she's accused of parroting Russian talking points here, that it has been from the Kremlin throughout the conflict in Ukraine that the West, that the U.S., that NATO is trying to push Russia by, punishing it for invading Ukraine, therefore putting the world on the brink of an atomic conflict. That is what she's saying here, that she's afraid that the, quote, elites want this war, and she's is a warning to the U.S. and the West to not punish Russia for not agreeing to a Ukrainian ceasefire, because if Russia is punished, they might have to lash out, and we may head up towards the apocalypse. Senator John Kennedy, a Republican, said yesterday when shown this video that he thinks that Gabbard should, quote, change her meds, Katty K. So she's getting some pushback from Republicans, members of her own party. Well, she was a Democrat, but members of the Trump, those who are normally supportive of the Trump administration. And beyond the obvious Kremlin sort of shadow here, it's just plain weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird and very ominous. It went out to 3.5 million followers. I mean, I think I would add, is this the best use of the DNI's time?
Yeah.
This very well produced. I mean, we do television. This is like a kind of mini documentary. But there's something about this kind of anti-elite, we heard it in the attacks on top universities that comes from the kind of populist strain of the Republican Party at the moment, or at least of the White House at the moment. And there's something even stranger, which is this idea that there is some kind of secret cabal that is behind the scenes pulling the strings, and yet we have Donald Trump in the White House. Is she suggesting that even though Donald Trump is president at the moment, there's still actually this kind of group of secret elites that's running things? I mean, that doesn't seem to add up. So the whole thing is pretty weird. I agree with the senator. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, Mike, it raises the question, is this just something she's freelancing on? Is this coming from the United States government? Her office was asked by a few media outlets and said Donald Trump shares this view, too, which, as John points out, is exactly the view of Vladimir Putin, which is don't support Ukraine too much. You're only going to escalate this war. Give us everything we need here. But this is, a 3.5-minute video from the director of national intelligence. Ominous is a friendly word. I think bizarre is more like it.
Repeat that again. She's the director of national intelligence. These people have jobs that they ought not to have. You wonder, to your point that you raised, did she bounce this off the president? Did she show it to him and say, what do you think? And he said, go for it? Who knows? I mean, the series of appointments in this administration is something that we gloss over day after day after day. Tulsi Gabbard. The most dangerous, I would submit, is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and what he's doing to the health of this country, or the lack of health, potentially, for your children who need vaccines, things like that. All of it is just part of a parade of incompetence, just visible incompetence. You just saw part of it right there, right now.
It's the director of national intelligence. And just